recall an organization which is from long time contributing a lot to the success of economy, the port's economy, and it's my pleasure to invite Captain B.V.J.K. Sharma, the Joint Managing Director of JSW. Please welcome him with a round of applause, Captain Sharma.
Our Additional Chief Secretary, Home Department, Government of Maharashtra, Gautam Chatterjee, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Transport and Ports, our colleagues, Mumbai Port Chairman Ravi Vermaji, Neeraj Bansalji of JNPT, Mr. Balasubramaniam of Tariff Authority, Mr. Kalpesh, and the dignitaries in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege that you all keep calling us and we keep sharing our private perspective time and again in the efforts that we all need to put in jointly. As you all have heard many speakers ahead of us, there is enough going on at the moment, but we have a lot to do and a long way to travel. But I would use this occasion to recall upon how we were particularly helped by Shri Bakshi. Sir, back in 2016, I had approached you remember? Sorry, in 2006 I approached you, where you did mention the same thing that you were saying, that the policy is difficult, but try and attempt. And we attempted doing this Jaigarh port. And during that time, I was developing the Goa port. Mr. Praveen Agarwal sitting here. And it was the real music that time to hear from the government of Maharashtra, the encouraging words that we heard, and that prompted us actually. Goa had its own challenges when we were developing that port, and within the Goa there is a different atmosphere. And when I saw the atmosphere at Ratnagiri and the Konkan region, it has thrown a different challenge. But there was ample support from the government, and today Jaigarh port is servicing Capesize vessels, and we have upgraded ourselves to see that how we can handle the largest bulk carrier of the world, which is called Valemax. We have raised the port now from 7 meters to 20 meters, and we are servicing these 2 lakh tonnage. But we are not too far off in a particular business case where we will start bringing the Valemaxes, which are 4 lakh tonnage. We are also developing an LNG terminal there in the regas business along with partners, and there is a larger vessel in LNG class which is called QMax, and we will be berthing that vessel alongside Jaigarh in 4 years' time. While we were looking at Valemax, we looked at the possibility of berthing the large crude carriers alongside, and we have now simulated in UK HR Wellingford. I've seen that it's possible to service these VLCCs alongside, otherwise West Coast has this challenge of that weather, and SBMs have some downtime, but if you service those vessels alongside, probably, sir, we can support a 50 million refinery in the hinterland. There is a need for BPCL and HPCL to shift out of Mumbai because of the threat perspective. Another perspective is the land value itself, which entices them to look at other possible ports. So idea is to compete with JNPT and MPT and beat them in the volumes. and we are not too far off in our efforts. So it's a big task, but on the dry bulk side, we are also trying to develop a 40 million dry bulk terminal and a container terminal which will service even the larger vessels because of the draft. But to become a gateway port, it will take longer time. We are thinking of feedering it. But there are some disadvantages in Bombay which will become an opportunity for me, especially the cost of transaction and the cost of building capacities within the existing major ports. Wherein an example that Bansal may not like it, but 9,000 crores we are spending in the PSA berths, wherein I can put up a terminal in 500 crores. Now comes that whether we can challenge the real JNPT. It's difficult, but we should think about it and keep working. And so Gautam Chatterjee has spelled out the next course of action that the Maritime Board will take, and I'm happy to say that they have taken in our Jaigarh Digni rail connectivity 11% equity, and the Indian Railways have taken 26% equity, remaining 63% we are investing, and we hope to flag off the first train by June 18, for which the company SPD has been formed. We are capitalizing it. We are privately purchasing the land and trying to see that the longest lead, which is the tunnel, with about 18 kilometers tunnels are there out of the 34 kilometer rail line. We start by December. On the road connectivity, sir, which is a challenge because of a particular clause in the maritime concession that Government of Maharashtra provides. It's read in a particular manner. But a private developer needs to connect it to the nearest public road. And to that extent, we have connected it. But a long pending issue was resolved very quickly by the current government and intervention of Sri Gautam Chatterjee. And on the road connectivity front, the road has been handed over by PWD to Maritime Board and Maritime Board to us, and we have taken up that connectivity as well. While we are developing this railway, we are also working on a right-of-way for a possible pipeline corridor. We are also examining that whether iron ore can be carried through the pipeline route and can we pump it all the way to 400, 500 kilometer distances. While LNG requires a right-of-way for the gas business, the crude oil refinery which we are talking about, at least a 20,000 crore investment is seen in the region where probably we can cut off a 6,000 crore capex out of that by giving them the crude oil tanks, the berths, the power that is required, because we have a port-based power plant. They will need water, they will need oxygen. So there is a possibility of a co-development of a refinery in that region, and that calls for a pipeline corridor for crude oil and a BOL. While Sagarmala is promoting, and today's theme is the port-led development, so we are shifting gears from port development to port-led development, and which is going to happen. I am now a firm believer of Sagarmala, and I'm sure that the way Center and Maharashtra State is driving it, it would happen, because if you work the facts and figures with our 7,500 coastline and 13 maritime states getting attached to this coast, there is a huge possibility. Our friends have shared that 90% by volume and 70% by value moves through the maritime corridor. And even the cost of logistics have been shared that if you spend 100 rupees on the road, probably you spend 40 rupees on the rail and 15 rupees on the water. This being the case, there is a question that why are we not shifting to the water transport mode? There is a need also. Today, our logistic costs, if you really compare, is too high compared to the other big nations. We are about 13 to 14% of the GDP, where others are at 9 to 10%. And in numbers terms, it is reported that India is losing consuming about $45 billion every year because of this higher logistic cost. And there are a lot of low-hanging fruits which can be plucked to address this. Very fact that our trains, especially goods, still move at sub 30 kilometer average. On the road, you don't get more than 35 kilometers. On the road haul, you are not about 250 kilometers on a day. All this needs to go up. On the train, we have to go up to 70 kilometer average, which DFC would address. And on the roads, we need long haul, for which non-stop, seamless traffic, that you don't get stopped because of OCTRA and many other regions are also getting addressed through the intervention of the states, as well as the GST regime that is likely to come. And I'm seeing this initiative which Sagarmala has taken, where in modal shift incentivization is being talked about. The bigger challenge is to have a maritime infrastructure created in our riverfronts. In our bid to address that, sir, we have taken up the Amba River development, and with the help of Maritime Board, we have carried out the dredging of Amba River, wherein so far Amba River has been carrying 2,000 tonners, and we have plans to move an 8,000 tonner in the same river by next June. That calls for that, you see how it brings the economy of scale and possible port-based industrialization that is possible. There was a steel plant which was 3 million and somehow it was running in losses. We took over the steel plant. But now we have a vision to upgrade the steel plant to 10 million, which will throw about 40 million cargo. Immediately our worry was, while we are progressing, there are others also progressing in the region, how much river could take. And we did extensive study on the river, and we came to know that on a ton-kilometer basis, if we dredge the river to a minus 3.5 CD level and use the tide, we can, on 67% of the time, we can move these 8,000 tonners. That will help in keeping the traffic density at the same level and still handle about 4 to 5 times the cargo that we are handling today. On maritime security front, Chief Bakshi Sahab have addressed that we had concern, and with your intervention now, we have done the security audit that you are mentioning. But there is a regime which needs to be seen, whether how much is postal police and how much is the security corporation of Maharashtra would take over, and overall how this overall cost could be shared. There are many players in that region, and one address is when these 101 rivers are getting notified by the central government as in rainwater days. How do we ensure that this cost, overall cost, is passed on to all the players? There was a deliberation in Delhi that what role IWD can take up, whether they should do the river mouth dredging, they should take care of the security, or they should do the BTMS and control the traffic. So we need the deliberation with the state, between the state and the central government, to see that how do we keep our rivers navigable, and how do we keep them secure. At the moment, there is a lot of threat to the entire investment in that region because everybody comes and jumps and attacks physically. But I'm happy that that is also being addressed. I'm sure that we all know that almost 14% of our population lives in coastal districts, but the maritime states that I mentioned, 13 of them contribute more than 67% to the GDP. And I have this gut feeling now that going forward, this maritime sector will play a very pivotal role. As the sir has mentioned earlier, that we have Secretary, the Railway Minister, and many other top dignitaries who are taking very keen interest in development of the connectivity projects, and the impetus has also come that maritime state ports are also equally important. Earlier, everything was hovering around major ports, but now there is a recognition that it's not a minor port, it is a non-major port, and how do we address and harness the strengths of the non-major ports along with the major ports and address this Sagarmala initiatives in a very concentrated manner. And while we are running these facts, if we also see that we have a challenge of handling 2,500 tons by 2025, there we need to look at what are the 4 major pillars of Sagarmala, which says that the port-led development, which will divide coastal economic zones, but the entire maritime coast is divided into 10 coastal economic zones where port-based industries will be developed, coastal tourism will be developed, and there will be multi-modal logistic parks. And this will align us with Make in India, and I also hope that with shipbuilding subsidy on the angle of getting announced, there will be development of shipbuilding and ship repair. But port infra enhancement is another major pillar of the Sagarmala, where capacity augmentation is being talked about, and a master plan is being developed, as Bandal sir has said, that, and operational efficiency is being benchmarked at the best. And this is required because we keep, from the private sector, we have thrown a lot of challenges on major ports, that this is how we can handle larger volumes, and now I'm happy that that challenge is being taken up, and mechanization efforts all over in all ports are, all major ports are being taken up in a very serious manner to PPP route. And also, Honorable Minister is very focused on making sure that whichever port can handle Capesize vessel should be dredged. In that matter, I am happy to say that Goa Port has taken this initiative of dredging the Goa Port from 14 to 20 meters, and that RFP process is at the moment on. Ennore Port is going ahead and dredging to 20 more meters. Paradeep has a plan to go to 20 meters. So friends, a lot of positive efforts are happening, which will be visible in next 6 months to 1 year time. But while we have addressed the efficient evacuation modes and all, what we have felt that, sir, that coastal community development is equally important, which Sagarmala should address, because we need to have them on board for every effort that we put in. Unless they are around with us, it's not going to happen. And that sustainable model has to be brought in with the skill development and the coastal tourism and the fisheries department working along with us. So, in Maharashtra itself, we are seeing that we can develop Jaigarh port to 65 to 85 million ton capacity, and we can develop the riverine port to 40 million ton capacity, and we are also looking at a possibility of developing another port in Maharashtra. So, sir, from our side, we are sure that we can put up at least 100 million capacity in Maharashtra itself. Thank you very much, friends, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Sharma, for throwing light on various issues like basic humanities like road construction and tracks and pipeline corridors, and also sharing with us how JSW is growing in the port sector and competing with public entities like JNPT. Thank you very much for the address.